Surprise! We've got 4 boxes of vintage and antiques, and who knows what's in here. I don't know. These just came because I traded a Capodimonte urn with Corene Jones, and she and her husband Mark have been shopping all summer for things, and I think I got the lion's share of the deal. It's very kind of them. They sent all this over with Miss Wildlife, and thanks to her for bringing it, and it just got here from Idaho, so I have no idea what's in these boxes and what I've traded for, but we're going to find out together right now. All right, I'm going to open up box 1 here, and you're not going to want to hear all the paper crinkling, so I'm going to unwrap everything, put it on the table, and then we'll take a look at it together. All right, here's box number 1 already. Some really cool stuff. He said she was going to leave them farm fresh so I could see what they paid, and I get to do the cleaning, which is only fair because, wow, they sourced so much stuff for me. I really am excited about this. Now, I know not many people use spark plug servicers anymore, but they're great to have as a stool or an ottoman in a garage. I just love the Champion logo. This has honestly been something on my bucket list that I've always wanted to have. Now I've got to find a home for it, but it'll clean up and it's just great graphics. Some cool cocktail stuff. I always like the recipe shakers. They got a good deal on this. And this one with the double-sided and the coins is neat. It's interesting. They're in Northern Idaho, and they're not far from the place in Montana that has the 50,000 silver dollars on the wall. So I suspect that this actually was purchased there because these were popular there back in the 60s. Supergirl is one glass I've never had, actually, of these character glasses done by Pepsi. This is the second series in 1976. The first series came out in 73. And this is the Hall Aladdin teapot. Very happy yellow color. And wow, they got it for only $5. What a deal. Love that shape. Poison sprayers are good, and I haven't had any for a long time. I'll have to see if my cousin wants it because he collects them, but if not, then we'll put it out for sale. This is one of these plastic planters from the early 70s. I remember that as a kid. This guy, I think, is really great. It's patinated to look like bronze. I'm sure it's just pot metal or spelter, but he's really cool. The Native American with the tomahawk and the headdress on a nice... Look at that clam broth where it actually shows through translucently in the white. Little different than regular milk glass. That's a neat piece from about 1940. Miniature painting is cool. I sold a bunch of these to Kat, the nurse flipper, and she did very well with them. I haven't had one since, so that's really nice to see. And then, remember when 7-Up was the Uncola? That was their best ad campaign. They couldn't figure out what to be. They tried being a mixer, then they tried being a hangover cure, ironically, and I guess they figured you'd use your product 2 days in a row, but finally they hit on the Uncola being not what Coke and Pepsi were, and that really did well for them. This was in 1973, I remember when that came out. I've done well with these before. This is a fun barware set with the different bridge sets on them, and I think these were done in the early 80s. This plane is also an 80s era piece. I just think that's a neat look for a desk. And then this is cool because it's the Zodiac. And this is right out of about 1970. Somebody did a lot of embroidery on that. Okay, let's get into box number 2, the blue Amazon box. Before I even get started on the rest of the box, look at this groovy tie. Hello, everybody. It actually kind of matches Grover. Ooh, these are Harlequin. Wow. 3 different colors. That's great. I love Harlequin. It was the alternative to Fiesta, made by Homer Laughlin as well, in the late 30s to be sold in less expensive places like Woolworths. Ooh, wow. There is a nice cluster of grapes. Oh, that's really cool. Corinne said she got 2 and she was willing to send me 1. I just read the note. That is so nice of her because, wow. This is great. So I'm going to set them in there for safekeeping. This bowl is a pretty purple color. I think that's Imperial glass, although it doesn't have the IG label. The handle might tell me. You're really not supposed to pick them up by the handles, though. I know better, just in case they weren't applied well, but that one seems sturdy. 2 very cute silhouettes. I'm a big fan of silhouettes, and they sell really well for me. She said she tried to pick things she and Mark thought looked like stuff they'd seen me carry before because we've done the show in Spokane a couple of times together. Viewmaster of Lake Louise, what a beautiful place that is. This is really fun because it's one of these 70s, 80s era, but After Jure made the wall stuff, then they started making little things. This isn't Jure, of course, but other companies started making. And this one has this really cool thing, and it plays King of the Road. That was one of my favorite songs when I was a little kid. I guess I must have known I was going to be a nomad. Realistic weather radio. This is one of these things from Radio Shack with the simulated rosewood grain, so you know it's 70s. But these actually are pretty collectible now. I've sold these before for pretty decent money, so that's a nice thing to have. This, I'm betting, is California Originals. Yep, Cal Style. That was one of their brands when they were trying to look a lot like Treasure Craft. They didn't do the brown edges, they just did the colors and the swirls. Husky Auto Care, that is a Canadian outfit, but they did do some business in the 50s and 60s. This would be probably early 60s because plastic on the back, metal on the front. And it must have been a local oil company that had it painted with their logo on the door. That is really cute. And then this is nice quality. I don't see a signature on it. I'm going to look one more time. It's unsigned, but that's how much it must have cost new. This is actually very nicely done, and totems sell really fast for me here in the Northwest. They know I like cigarette lighters, and there is a big honkin' one. You could do some damage to somebody with this. And it looks like it turns, which is the important thing. Oh yeah, back before we had dash cams, you just had to take this along, I guess, in case something happened. Yes, step into the scene and take pictures of everything and then send it in before anybody can say that what happened didn't happen. A friend of mine just had an accident, and the first thing they said is, "Did you have a dash cam?" Because it was a hit and run. This is one of these weather thermometer things where the little German characters go moving around depending on the weather. These look like the Kokeshi dolls, but they are napkin rings from Japan. Well, that's really cute. I haven't seen them done as napkin rings before. Couple of old matchbooks, of course, Great Northern Railroad. They had Reinhold Weiss, who did all of the Native American drawings and calendars for them. The Empire Builder, that route is still called the Empire Builder from Seattle to Chicago. The Mint Bar in Sheridan, Wyoming. I drove through Sheridan last year on the way out west, and I'm pretty sure that's still there. Now, usually these commemorative coins don't go for much, but because this has the Apollo 11 astronauts, this actually will sell in Florida. And then some fun little pencil sharpeners here. These look like the purses that I see some of the women sporting around in the vintage community now. This little droid, is that 3CPO? And also a pencil sharpener, it looks like. Oh no, that's a flashlight. Okay. A magnet with Millefiori. I've never seen that before. And a couple of good buckles for the Florida market. Shot glasses, cute figurine. Well, I'm having a lot of fun. Let's see what box number 3 holds.
Subscribe to this guy on YouTube. He's such a good YouTuber. He's called the Antique Nomad, and I'm already subscribed, guys. Look, I will look up his name, the Antique Nomad, and then I will subscribe to him right now.
Awesome.
Ready, guys, go.
Thank you. We'll start with what's in this envelope here. Let's see what we have. Okay. Oh, Williamsburg, Virginia, symphonic drama. Oh, I bet that was interesting. 1950, 4th annual season. I wonder if they still do that there. Ramon Perimeter. Oh, this looks interesting. What in the world is this? And it's so funny how our brain just fills in words we know. It's Ramon Parmenter, not perimeter. It looks like it pulls out. I want to be careful because I'm doing this with one hand. Oh, wow. Is this an exhibition of some sort? Oh no, it's a bunch of loose leaf. Oh, interesting. This is this artist from Joseph, Oregon, which is a big tourist town up in the mountains, and these are the bronzes that he did back in the 1980s. So it's a sales manual. This is pretty cool. I will have to look for this artist around here. These look like they're very well done. Interesting to be able to see all his work. Paint on bronze was a new idea in the 70s and 80s, and I really like the blue color and the way that it just makes her pop out in the motion. I really like that one. I just noticed we have one more thing in here, and ooh, wow, it's King Kong Dominance, number 24 of 25, Series B, Ryan T. Douglas. That's actually really vibrant and very fearsome. I like it.
On to box number 3, and we'll take out the empties. Oh, looks like more Harlequin. Ooh, I see a poker chip set. Oh, wow, a big stack of Harlequin. That's great. I have customers for that. There's a great episode of that 70s show where she's very concerned that the kids will break her figure of the littlest hobo while she's out of the house. Let's see what's in the back of this box. Ah, Bob Hope. I've been finding Bob Hope stuff lately. That's great. This is kind of neat. Studio pottery, and you can see where they use some sort of a tool for the texturing, and I can feel it on the back. Let's see if it has a maker name. Irene. Yeah, 1979. That's about the time you start to see this waffle finish on the back of studio pottery pieces. So that's a help for dating if you have a piece that doesn't have a date. All right, let's see here. Nevada state plates. Oh, that's fun because it's Western. That'll go with my Western stuff. Howdy, partner. And this one is Oregon. Well, we know where that'll go. And this one is from the Centennial in 1959, held around the state capitol, which was built in 1934. The original one burned down. We're on to our last box, and I see a Lazy Susan base, so I'm guessing there's pieces to a Lazy Susan in here, and we'll see what else. Starting with this Plastic Fantastic Dragon piece. Oh, I have a friend who loves dragons. I think she'll like this because she's a quilter and she needs a place to keep her sewing stuff. All right, there are the inserts, so let's put this bad boy together and see what it looks like. Well, cool. Chartreuse and forest green. Chartreuse was such a popular color in the 50s and into the early 60s, and this is a company I've never heard of, so she stumped me on this one, Tomioni Brothers. But there were so many little California potteries right before and right after the Second World War. There were 2,000 in the Los Angeles area alone, so it stands to reason I wouldn't have heard of all of them. This is the insert for a Treasure Craft Chip and Dip, and there's their 1980s Crafted with Pride in the USA mark. And this was out of the Southwest line, which came out in 1979 and was a mainstay through the 80s because Santa Fe style decorating became so popular. And there is the bottom of it. Oh, this is great. I always really liked the way that they did the style here. It's a little bit deco, it's a little bit Southwestern. So we got the whole set. And there it is together. That is 1985 talking to us 40 years later. Oh, how cool. I haven't had one of these in a while. I really like Corene purses. These are good, and especially the larger ones. They have definitely caught on. I remember when I was the only one buying them, but everyone else has figured it out. A 1961 penny. That was earlier than these were being made. These started in the early 70s. Oh my gosh. And there's a note. Josephine Tetlow by Corene. Corene was the maker. Ohio National Bank. Yep, Josephine H. Tetlow. That was probably a gallery that sold these. It was always a standard bunch of buildings, and they would paint them for your attraction. Jet Stadium, the Battelle Institute. This is cool. Ohio State University. So this came from Columbus, Ohio. Wonder how it ended up in Idaho, if only it could talk. And one more cool bowl. This one, let's see, you count the lobes. Blanco did these, and then Indiana Glass did them. And Blanco has more lobes. This one has 12, so this one is Indiana. You see them more commonly. They also have a more clear mold ring. They're from the 70s. Great color. Ah, yes. And I told Corinne I would take these items in to Rhinestone Rosie's and have a repair done, which is good because I want to show you folks that wonderful jewelry shop here in Seattle. That looks like a great pin in there. I see why she wants to have it done. And then underneath, this might be a little more for me. Oh, well, looky there. Speaking of treasure craft, the thing that made them famous, the Lucky Sprites. Oh, that is great, and it's the wall pocket. You know, I used to see this stuff out there. I really don't anymore. This looks like it's in really good condition. And it even has the label from their second factory in Southgate, California. They ended up in Compton by the time they made the other pieces. And a few other pottery pieces as well. This one looks similar to the Irene piece here. It's a stoneware studio. This looks a lot like a Red Wing piece, but it isn't marked. So I think it was actually a small ceramicist who must have had a similar mold around 1940, very deco. And then this one is Shawnee. Let's see if it says it. They often don't. No, it doesn't. But you can see how the A is tipped a little to the right. And generally when you see the USA mark and the A is tipped like that, it's a Shawnee piece. Wow, well, look at all this. I feel very spoiled. I'm grateful to have fresh stock to put out. I have been short on ceramics in terms of pottery pieces, and I'm always looking for treasure craft. There's just so many fun things here. And like the sign says, well, that's a good sign too. Don't criticize the copy. You may be old and weak yourself someday. Well, I've got it divvied up into where it's going, but if you see something you like, the rule is always feel free to ask, because if it's still available, it could be yours. So send an email with a timestamp to theantiquenomad@gmail.com and we'll see what we can do for you. Otherwise, these things are going to various antique malls, and I'm starting to put away things for shows, because once I'm through with my recovery, I do intend to be back at shows next year. So we will have some fun stuff to bring to you, and thank you so much for joining us here. We look forward to more adventures soon.